If you were wondering what happens when the AI revolution accelerates past the point of no return, today, November 18th, 2025, it really delivered the answer.
It really did.
The news that landed this morning proves that the stakes have never been higher, and it's blurring the lines between research, commerce, and governance.
It was an incredible day. I mean, a clear inflection point. We saw three massive movements all converge at once. First, this colossal infrastructure convergence.
Right?
We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar compute alliance that's trying to secure foundational power for, the next decade of AI development.
And second, the model race.
Right.
It just continues at this frantic pace. We got major new releases, Gemini 3, Anthropic's Claude 4, all pushing the state-of-the-art.
Pushing it in complex reasoning and, I think, crucially, in multimodal capability.
Okay.
And third, and this is the key strategic pivot, is regulatory maturation.
So governments are finally getting serious.
They're shifting away from these, philosophical ethics discussions straight into mandatory, quantifiable risk tracking, especially on things like job automation.
That's a perfect outline for our deep dive today. Our mission is to swiftly extract the most crucial metrics and, the strategic insights from this flood of information. So I want to give you the context to understand not just what happened, but why it really matters to your business and to your career. So let's start with the science, the models, and segment A research.
Okay, so top of the list is the global benchmark for intelligence right now. Google's launch of the Gemini 3 model.
Their new flagship.
It is their new flagship, claiming state-of-the-art performance across reasoning, coding, multimodal understanding, and they made it immediately available.
Across everything.
Across the entire Google product suite.
And when we look at performance, the metric everyone is watching is that LMArena leaderboard. What did Gemini 3 actually achieve?
The Gemini 3 Pro model hit 1501 ELO on that leaderboard.
So it crossed the threshold.
It officially passed the frontier threshold, and it definitively surpassed its predecessor, Gemini 2.5 Pro, which was at 1451.
For context, ELO, that's the system from chess, right? How does that apply here?
Right. It's a rating system that measures a model's skill in head-to-head competition against others. So a 50-point jump isn't just a small improvement.
What does that 50-point jump really mean in practice? Why should we care about that specific number?
It means a significantly better ability to handle complex, multi-step instructions. You get deeper, more robust reasoning. When models move this far up, it's a true leap in capability.
Especially for things like coding.
Especially for things like complex coding or, say, synthesizing arguments across thousands of documents. It really solidifies Google's claim to competitive leadership. For now, at least.
Okay, so shifting from capability to alignment, we have a really critical piece of research from Dartmouth College in the U.S., and it introduces a major headache for AI safety teams. They investigated whether large language models actually have stable, coherent preferences.
And this raises just a fundamental question about governing these systems. If we ask a model to prioritize A over B today, will it make the same choice tomorrow? The research looked at these complex AI trade-offs like reducing GPU usage versus restricting capability, and it found a deeply worrying inconsistency.
And the number here is startlingly low.
It's just a mere 10.4%. That's the percentage of model category combinations that showed any meaningful preference coherence.
So in plain English, what does that mean?
It means most models do not have stable, genuine beliefs or values. They're essentially inconsistent, and that's an existential challenge for safety and alignment.
If you can't rely on it to be consistent.
Exactly. If we can't rely on a model to maintain a stable preference for safety protocols, how can we confidently deploy it in high-stakes environments?
That instability is, it's alarming, especially when you pair it with another Dartmouth paper about AI survey fraud.
This is a quiet crisis happening right now. Researchers successfully created an autonomous synthetic respondent.
So a bot that can answer surveys.
A very smart one. It uses LLMs to manipulate large-scale online surveys and polling, and it evades the standard detection methods.
And the economics are what make it an existential threat.
That's the key. The AI tool passed 99.8% of attention checks in over 43,000 tests. And the cost was about 5 cents per survey completion.
Compared to what a human costs.
Compared to about $1.50 for a human respondent.
So you can just flood the zone.
You can. If political polls, scientific research, market surveys, If all that can be corrupted this cheaply, the fundamental ecosystem built on public data just starts to break down. We can no longer trust the inputs.
Let's move from these unstable research models to immediate commercial application. Google Research is pushing a new paradigm with something called Generative UI.
Generative UI is a key piece of the future product stack. The technology lets an AI model dynamically create a complete, custom, interactive visual user interface.
So not just text, but an actual web page or a dashboard.
Exactly. Think complex dashboards, bespoke web pages, specialized tools, all from a natural language prompt. It fundamentally shifts how software is designed.
This isn't just a design tool then. It's a massive efficiency driver for businesses.
Absolutely. Their internal benchmarks suggest it can accelerate AI application deployment cycles by 70%.
70%.
Yes. So instead of developers spending weeks on front-end code, the generative UI creates the whole interface on demand. That level of efficiency, it just changes the economics of app development.
Speaking of deployment, the sheer scale of the coming agent ecosystem, it needs a major management structure. Microsoft is tackling this at Ignite 2025.
This is all about governance and grounding autonomous agents. Microsoft introduced layers like Work IQ, Fabric IQ, and Foundry IQ.
And what do those do?
They're intelligence layers designed to ground these autonomous systems in real business data and organizational context. They know that without data integrity, agents are useless or, worse, dangerous.
So what's the scale of the challenge this new framework is trying to address?
The metric here really tells the story. This whole framework is designed to manage what's projected to be 1.3 billion AI agents.
1.3 billion.
By 2028, you just cannot manage that many autonomous entities without secure, centralized governance layers. This is their strategy.
And finally, we bridge the digital with the physical world. China's UB Tech began mass delivery of humanoid robots.
This is maybe the most visible sign of embodied AI moving out of the lab. Shenzhen-based UB Tech Robotics announced it began mass production and delivery of several hundred Walker S2 humanoid robots.
And they're not just for show, they're going into real factories.
They're integrating them directly into assembly lines and warehouses.
And this is being claimed as a first, right, in terms of scale?
Yes. They're claiming this is the world's first large-scale delivery of humanoid robots for real, ongoing operational use. This is no longer a concept or a pilot. This is scaled industrial automation.
Okay, here is where the strategic maneuvering and the billions of dollars really converge. We have to talk about that colossal $45 billion Anthropic Azure NVIDIA alliance.
This deal just fundamentally reshapes the compute landscape. It's not just a large transaction, it's an economic and strategic barrier.
And the cornerstone is a massive purchase.
A staggering one. Anthropic is committing to purchase $30 billion of computing capacity from Microsoft Azure.
$30 billion.
Yeah. And that's coupled with investment from NVIDIA up to $10 billion and another $5 billion from Microsoft in Anthropic itself.
So what are the strategic implications here? Does this just lock Anthropic into Microsoft and NVIDIA's ecosystem?
It does exactly that. For Anthropic, it secures up to 1 gigawatt of additional capacity. That guarantees they have the power they need for models beyond Claude 4.
And for NVIDIA?
For NVIDIA, it locks one of the world's most valuable future chip customers into co-developing on their next-gen architectures, specifically Grace Blackwell and the future Vera Rubin platforms. It's a classic power play to defend their market moat.
Speaking of NVIDIA, they also announced their Blackwell Ultra architecture is just dominating the latest industry benchmarks.
A clean sweep. All 7 MLPerf training v5.1 benchmarks. The key metric to watch here is the efficiency game.
How much faster is it?
The GB300 NVL72 rack system was measured to be 2.7 times faster than the prior Hopper architecture when training Llama 3.1405B.
That is an enormous leap.
It is. That leap is what allows the current pace of model scaling to continue.
But the strategy isn't just about peak performance anymore, is it? It's about sustainability, affordability. Microsoft's also unveiled its own custom silicon, the Azure Cobalt 200.
And this confirms that the economics of AI are changing. The Cobalt 200, built on ARM Neoverse, shifts the hardware strategy from raw speed to maximizing operational efficiency. The focus internally is on intelligence per watt.
Why is intelligence per watt suddenly more important than peak speed?
Because frontier model training is getting so efficient that for most big companies, the cost of running inference, deploying the model to billions of users, now dominates the budget.
So it's the ongoing cost, not the startup cost.
Precisely. By focusing on efficiency and reducing power draw, Microsoft addresses the total cost of ownership, or TCO. It's a necessary move when your compute costs are measured in the tens of billions.
Let's pivot to policy, because this is where the speed of AI development meets the real world of employment. We saw a major bipartisan U.S. bill, the AI-related Job Impacts Clarity Act.
This is, I would argue, the most significant piece of regulatory news today. It fundamentally changes the nature of AI governance in the U.S. It moves it from these, abstract conversations about ethics into mandatory, concrete compliance. The bill requires major companies, publicly traded firms, federal agencies to submit quarterly reports on workforce changes due to AI.
And what exactly does this mandatory reporting involve? What's the compliance burden?
It requires mandatory tracking of 4 specific metrics: layoffs, hires, unfilled positions, and any retraining expenses.
And there's a key detail about how they're categorized.
Yes, and this is crucial. All these metrics have to be categorized by their corresponding NAICS codes for public release.
For our listeners who might not be familiar, what are NAICS codes, and why does that make this law so potent?
NAICS stands for the North American Industry Classification System. They are standard codes used to classify specific business sectors.
Like software publishing or manufacturing?
Exactly. By requiring companies to attach these codes to job displacement data, the government can specifically quantify which industries and which job roles are being automated the fastest. It forces companies to put a number on it.
An auditable number.
An auditable cost of automation that can then drive future labor and tax policy.
Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, European leaders are worried that the sheer pace of regulation might stifle investment. France and Germany are calling for a delay.
Right. At the Berlin Digital Sovereignty Summit, they jointly called for postponing the compliance deadline for high-risk AI provisions in the EU AI Act by 12 months, pushing it toward late 2027.
What's the balancing act they're trying to pull off there?
They need regulatory stability, but they also need time for the massive capital they're dedicating to innovation to actually take hold. The summit commitment itself included over 12 billion euros in digital investments from European companies.
So they're asking for some breathing room.
They're asking for compliance flexibility to allow those strategic investments to start paying dividends before the stringent rules fully apply.
And finally, on standards, the industry is trying to get ahead of the integrity problem with a new model signing framework.
This is so crucial for supply chain security. The Coalition for Secure AI, or COSAI, under Oasis Open, released new frameworks for cryptographically signing and verifying machine learning models.
The goal being to prevent tampering.
The goal is simple, yeah. Prevent tampering and ensure models haven't been maliciously altered between development and deployment. And this effort is backed by over 40 industry partners, including Google, Microsoft, and NVIDIA.
Okay, the pace of enterprise adoption, it just continues to heat up. We saw a major deal in the financial space, OpenAI and Intuit.
This is a huge move into mission-critical services. It's a multi-year deal valued at over $100 million.
$100 million.
And it will deeply integrate OpenAI's models across Intuit's core financial products like TurboTax and QuickBooks. And importantly, it also makes them accessible directly within ChatGPT.
So ChatGPT is evolving into a trusted financial platform.
Exactly. This is integrating generative AI into services where trust is everything. It effectively positions ChatGPT as a viable platform for trusted third-party actions, moving way beyond simple information retrieval.
Meanwhile, Salesforce made a critical acquisition aimed at solving the single biggest problem for accurate AI, which is data quality.
That's right. Salesforce completed its acquisition of Informatica. They're bringing all that data management, quality, and governance capability into their Data 360 platform.
And this is all to power their agent platform.
Yes. Salesforce stressed that accurate, hallucination-free AI, especially for their Agentforce 360, requires a pristine, unified metadata foundation. And the business outcome is notable. This deal accelerated their platform development and achieved accretion on their non-GAAP operating margin 1 year ahead of schedule.
Looking globally, we saw major deployment efforts in emerging markets, including an AI education pilot in Africa from Anthropic.
This is a partnership with the government of Rwanda and ALX, designed to build localized talent capacity. They are deploying Chadi, a Claude-powered AI learning assistant.
A Socratic mentor.
That's how they frame it. And the scale is impressive. The program will train 2,000 Rwandan teachers and civil servants and then deploy the tool to over 200,000 learners across the continent. It's one of Africa's largest AI in education deployments.
Shifting to Asia, in China, Baidu's AI cloud revenue is acting as a major strategic anchor for the company.
It really is. Baidu reported a net loss because weak domestic spending hit its core advertising business. However, their investment in AI is paying off.
Yeah, the numbers show it.
Revenue from their AI-related businesses grew more than 50% year-on-year. It reached about 10 billion yuan, or $1.4 billion in the quarter. It just demonstrates that their heavy focus on AI provides essential diversification.
And finally, India is focused on democratic access to AI capabilities, right at the grassroots level.
Yes, the Karnataka government inaugurated the Bengaluru Tech Summit 2025 and launched KEO. It stands for Knowledge-Driven, Economical, Open Source.
An affordable AI-ready computer.
A locally developed, affordable, AI-ready PC. The aim is to bridge that digital access gap. It's priced at just under 19,000 rupees, and it's supported by a state commitment of 600 crores for tech entrepreneurs.
So a monumental, game-changing day. From the $45 billion Compute Alliance to Google's new Gemini model, the first mass delivery of humanoid robots in China.
And that political pivot in the U.S. demanding mandatory job impact reporting.
Infrastructure, capability, and compliance. It was all firing today.
It really was.
Before we sign off, let's look at a couple of tools and tutorials you can use today. If you are looking to formalize your expertise, AWS opened beta registration for their new professional-level certification, the AWS Certified Generative AI Developer Professional.
That's a must-have for developers. And for those looking for immediate utility, Yandex launched PromptHub, or Shuya, in Russia. It's a new platform with over 1,000 ready-made AI prompts across 50 categories.
Now for the numbers of the day. First up, $30 billion.
$30 billion.
That is Anthropic's commitment to Microsoft Azure for compute capacity. It's the largest public AI infrastructure purchasing agreement announced to date.
And the second number, 76%. That's the percentage of surveyed executives who now view agentic AI as a coworker, not just a tool. That line is blurring very, very quickly.
So if we put those two facts together, the new U.S. Job Clarity Act and this idea of AI agents as coworkers, it raises a critical legal and governance question.
It does.
If autonomous AI agents are now widely classified as coworkers, who is legally liable when their automation decisions lead to the mandatory workforce displacement reported under that new U.S. Clarity Act?
That tension between treating an agent as a tool versus treating it as an entity, that is the core legal and governance challenge that organizations have to address right now. That is the future of workflow liability.
That is a perfect thought to leave you with. We hope you feel thoroughly informed and ready to navigate this rapidly changing landscape.